What would your body actually look like with 15 pounds more muscle? It really depends. At 10% body fat, 15 pounds of muscle makes you look lean, athletic, like you lift. At 20%, it fills you out and adds shape. And over 25%, it still makes a difference, but it's harder to see it. A lot of people keep cutting and cutting, thinking it will make them look better, but they end up being disappointed because if you don't have any muscle underneath, there's really nothing to reveal when you cut. Fat loss reveals your physique. It doesn't build it. In this video, I'll show you exactly what extra 15 pounds of muscle look like for someone under 15% body fat, someone at 20% body fat, and someone that is over 25% body fat, and how to build those 15 pounds of muscle the right way, because your diet and training should be different depending on where you're starting from. I'll also tell you whether gaining that muscle is actually worth it for you, because sometimes 15 pounds of extra muscle is just extra weight. By the end of it, you should know exactly whether you should bulk, cut, or do something maybe in between. Before we dive in, let's get something clear about your goal, because gaining 15 pounds of muscle only work if your nutrition is on point, if your calories and proteins are right, and it really varies depending your starting point. So I built a free macro calculator, just plugging your height, weight, activity levels, and goals, and it tells you exactly how much you should be eating, including your calories, protein, and macros for building lean mass. I started out so small and skinny that I was afraid to take off my shirt because I looked smaller than most girls around me, and it made me really insecure and unconfident. This was me before I started training, sub 15% body fat, barely any muscle, and this is me after adding 15 pounds of muscle, same body fat percentage. And here's the thing, if you are a novice like I was, gains comes fast. You can gain 15 pounds of muscle in only 6 to 12 months with solid training and nutrition in the beginning. To build muscle at this stage though, calories matters more than protein. You want to be at a slight calorie surplus, aiming to gain about 1% of your body weight per week. That is the sweet spot, because any more than that, you're gaining unnecessary fat, and any less than that, you're leaving gains on the table. Now, when it comes to protein though, my golden rule is regardless if you're bulking or recomping, everyone should get at least 1 gram per pound they weigh. Even if it's a little bit overkill for some people, there are way more pros than cons. This is not medical advice, but there are no legitimate safety concerns around a high protein diets in healthy individuals, according to this gigantic position stand from International Society of Sports Nutrition. There is, quote, no controlled scientific evidence indicating that increased intake of protein poses any health risk in healthy exercising individual. Even going as high as 4.4 gram per kilo, which is about 2 gram per pound, have consistently been reported with no harmful effects. And proteins is not just about muscle, it's also about your body's self-generate system, like your skin healing from a cut, or you recovering from an injury, or your nails growing, or your hairs growing. And 1 gram each pound is much easier to remember. It's easy math compared to a random number based on an overcomplicated formula where you have to calculate based on your lean mass. That's just too much work. Just eat 1 gram each pound you weigh. Consistency starts with simplicity. Remember that. 1 gram each pound you weigh should be the minimum, because in some cases, I actually recommend to go beyond 1 gram if you're very active or very lean. The macro calculator below though should tell you exactly how many protein you should be eating, even if you're very active and also very lean. I've now gained more muscle than those first 15 pounds. But those first 15 pounds, they were life-changing for me. It made me look so much better in my clothes and also made me feel so much comfortable in my own skin. It boosted my confidence and it made the biggest impact on my private and professional life. If you're not lifting and on the edge of whether you should start, here's what I can say. The first 15 pounds is the easiest muscle you can gain, and it's the most life-changing. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Alright, how would 15 extra pounds of muscle look like on someone at around 20% body fat though? Here's one of my clients, Marcus. This was him before he started working with us, hovering at around 20% body fat with about 6 months of lifting experience. 9 months later, here's him. Even at the same body fat percentage, you can actually see that he looks a little bit leaner because his muscle shows more. You can see more of his abs, his shoulders are rounder, he's wider, and that is the power of adding lean mass. It changes your entire frame. He gained about 15 pounds of muscle in only 9 months with us, and if you also want to do that, there's another link in the description for coaching. If you're at around 20% body fat, here's how I approach it. You don't need to be at a massive surplus. A small surplus, we're talking about a max of 0.5% of your body weight each week, is the sweet spot for maximizing muscle growth without adding unnecessary fat. Could you recomp in this stage? Yeah, but if you want optimal muscle gains, you're better off being at a slight surplus. And protein wise, it's the same rule, 1 gram per pound of body weight. And here's the difference. When you're sub 15% body fat, calories matter more. But at 20% body fat, hitting your protein is the most important thing. It's way more important than your calories. Even if you're not at calorie surplus, the main thing you should be tracking at this point is your protein regardless. Every day, every single day, it needs to be on point. But the real game changer here also is training quality. The most common reason to why people plateau and stop seeing results from the gym is because their training is just too light. So, do you know who Dorian Yates is? If you're not a total meathead, I don't blame you for not knowing who that is. But he was 6-time Mr. Olympia, and during his reign, he only trained chest 4 sets per week. 4 sets. That takes about 10 minutes to do. The first step to making your training effective is you need to train with the right intensity. Here's how to make sure that you're pushing hard enough. For a set to be effective, you need to push yourself to be at around 2 reps shy of failure, because scientists and gym bros have finally agreed that's the optimal amount. You need to push yourself where it looks like you have fecal impaction. Here's an explanation of what that is. Here's how you should look. To the point where your arms are shaking by the last repetition. That is an effective set. Another way to make sure that your training is effective is the 80-20 lift rule. It's all about choosing the right exercises here. A lot of people are confused on what to focus on. Should you focus on isolation exercising, chasing the pump or the burn, building muscle of what's called metabolic stress? So even though metabolic stress helps for building muscle, it's not the main driver of muscle growth. And I know some bodybuilders will swear by it, but most of them are on gear. If you're natural, it doesn't work the same way. There's literally studies that shows that people on steroids build more muscle sitting on the couch than us natural working our asses off. The main driver for hypertrophy is mechanical tension, also known as progressive overload. If you want to be efficient with your time, 80% of your workout should be on compound exercises. Focus on progressive overload. That doesn't mean you need to max out every session, but if your workout is effective, you should be able to do more reps or more weight over time. If that's not happening, your training is probably ineffective. No more than 20% of your workout should be on isolation exercises. Honestly, you don't even need to do isolation exercises, but it's always good to finish the session with arms to get the pump, get the swole, and get the veins sticking out so you can catch someone's attention across the room. Yeah, so 20%. All right, let's talk about what 15 pounds of muscle really does for someone that is over 25 pounds of body fat. And the short answer is not much. And I'm not trying to be discouraging, but that's just me being honest. If you're carrying more than 25% body fat, adding muscle won't be super visible. It'll be underneath the fat. So yeah, it's harder to see. Just look at Tyson Fury. Here's him at Wilder 1, and here's him in Usyk 1. He was heavier here, but he looks leaner obviously. But visually, it's not that dramatic, to be honest. At 20% body fat, adding muscle can make you look leaner. You'll have more shape, more definition. But once you're close to 30% body fat, that effect kind of disappears, because the more muscle you add, it would just be hidden underneath a lot of fat. I recommend you being in calorie deficit here. Aim to lose 0.5 to 1% of your weight a week and eat at least 1.4 gram of protein per pound of body weight. This is one of few times I recommend eating more than 1 gram per pound you weigh, because when you're losing weight, it can be fat, It can also be muscle, but to make sure it's as much fat and as least muscle as possible, you want to eat a lot more protein and also combine it with resistance training. And also, protein will help you with weight loss because it's more filling than carbs or fat. So it helps reduce your appetite and hunger levels. Protein also has a higher thermic effect, which means your body burn more calorie digesting and metabolizing protein, so you can improve your metabolic health. When it comes to training, same rules apply. Stick to compound lifts, push to 2 reps in reserve, and focus on metabolic tension over pump or burn, aka metabolic stress. All right, that is how 15 pounds of muscle would actually change your body across different type of fat percentages. If you want to do it yourself, check out the macro calculator in the description. It's free and it tells you exactly how much protein and calories you should be eating based on your body and goal. But what if gaining 15 pounds of muscle isn't what you should focus on right now? Maybe you're just not lean enough now. Maybe you already got muscle, but it's hidden under the fat. Or maybe you're just skinny fat at the moment and confused on where to start. If that is you, watch this video next. It breaks down the 3 most common starting points based on body fat percentage and also muscle mass, and what you should actually need to focus on depending on your body fat, lean mass, and training experience. And I'll tell you exactly what your goals should be and how to get there. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Stay healthy, keep thriving, and I hope I see you over there. Peace.